Hey developers, it's Brandon. I just wanted to make a quick video to show you the lease project management software that we use that we're hoping that you can reduplicate or somebody can reduplicate out there and reverse engineer. Whoever we hire for this project will have my username and password to this specific online software, this tool that we use. So you can get back into it and reverse engineer and however you need to help you out. Real quickly, we're looking at the administrative side. Let's just start there. And what I do in my industry is an oil company will hire myself or a group of my guys to go out in the field and negotiate contracts with landowners and mineral owners for their rights to develop on their land. And what that entails is just a simple contract, a simple oil and gas lease. And this lease management software allows us to create those leases and then to track them all the way from the initial offer through signing, which is typically how any project management system or software works. This is really tailored to our industry and does a great job of that. So with that being said, let's dive into this software. Real quickly, you're going to have the ability to have users and multiple users. Within that, those users are going to have different roles, different access permissions. So those roles, one role may be an administrative role. So you're going to have the administrative roles, and you're going to have functions of all of these modules, whereas another role would be a general landman, and he would just have access to a few of these modules down here. So limiting the ability of the users and what they can and cannot do is going to be key for this software. So now that we understand that, let's just jump into an administrator, because you've got to have an administrator that creates a prospect work group to start the project. Okay, because a typical user isn't going to be able to do anything if they haven't been assigned a prospect or a project work group. I think of them as project work groups, but in our industry they call them prospects. So let's just quickly look at on the administrative side tab. Since I'm an administrator and I have administrative access permissions, I'm a role, for the user role. I have the ability to create prospects. So we'll quickly look at prospects, and I can create a new prospect, or just let me quickly click on one, and it will take us to the same page, which is the same page. If we would have clicked on this, it would have taken us here, and all of these fields would have been empty. But all you need to enter is a prospect name and a client who is asking for the work to be done. And in this case, it's MDC, Murphin Drilling Company. The prospect name is Dundee West, and then you've got to select the users who have access to this prospect. Right now, I'm the only one that has access to this prospect, so I'm the only one that can put information into this prospect. The only other information besides the prospect name and the client that is asking for the work is you've got to let the prospect, you've got to know where the work is being done. And this is for reporting purposes. So the counties of which the work is being done. This is the state, and the state will give it the county. So if I click on Kansas, it'll just self-populate another list of Kansas counties. This happens to be in Nebraska. So let me typically jump back down into Nebraska, and it was Dundee County. All right, and you can save and go to bill rates. I'll quickly show you bill rates. It's just another tab, and this again will show you the prospect, what they get billed, what the client gets billed, and then what the actual user gets billed. So who's actually going to be making money? But this is just, again, it's tied in with the prospect, those bill rates can change depending, if I have a different prospect in a different area, it may be more expensive to work there, so I may change the bill rates, may increase and decrease. Prospect map and those things, but we'll get into that later. We don't even have to get into that in this video. That will be required, but we will look into that a little bit later. Okay, so now that we've got a prospect and we've created the prospect, let's go ahead and save it. We can now go to work. The first thing that a landman is going to do is they need to know who they're talking to, who is the individual, and that would be the contact or the parties. We call them parties in our industry. They could be individuals or they could be companies. And as you can see over here, we've got our create buttons again. All of our create buttons are always over here, whereas our typically, our information stays here, our toolbar's up here. But this parties is more or less it's your contacts. So you've got an ability to, there's no ability to upload a list of contacts here. I would like that ability. This program does not have that ability. It's very limited. It's an older system that was built in HTML. So it again is very limited, but I think we would have the ability to upload a contact list or a party list here, and we could get a list without having to create them individually. But if I wanted to, let me just go ahead and click on one of these. We'll go ahead and click on Clarence Jones since he's up here. Okay. If I clicked on create individual, it would have taken me to this page right here, which is the individual information. This is all his information. Okay, I've already entered his wife's information, so I was able to tie her into his spousal. I looked her up, but her information was already in here previously from a previous deal. So they are now together. So if they have any tracks that they're associated to, which we have not built any tracks yet, which we will go into detail in a little bit about how to do that. But right now we're just creating the contact. So now that I've created, Clarence, I've showed you how Clarence was created and how we put his information in here, or if you clicked create, it would have taken you here, but you put in the information here. Here's the overview, and this will take you, and look, I can click on his wife's contact, and they kind of link back and forth. Their contact information's linked back and forth, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, now that we have the party's information in here, we need to go in there and build the tract. What land do they own? That's the next piece of information. So we've got to go build the tract, and everything's going to be reporting based on this is a tract-based system. So we'll go into tracts. All right, here we are. Now this is just a list of all the tracks for all of my prospects, but if I just go ahead and bring this and show some of the Dundee County West tracks, there we go. I can quickly look at the Jones tract that I've actually already put in here. Now if I would have clicked that create tract button up here, it would have just taken me to the tract description tab here, and all of these fields would have been cleared out. This would have been, it just would have said add a new segment. This wouldn't be here, and this would have been cleared out, and this would have been cleared out, and that would have been 0. But real quick, you've got to have a tract number. That is key for every tract. You've got a tract number, just like you do with the prospect name. You've got to have that prospect name in there. Now that I can show you how this works, this is what's key. This is the first major hurdle that you've got to be able to understand, that if you can understand this and how this works, and you can make it work, and you can create this and recreate this, then we're going to find a good fit. But right here, when you would add a new segment, a new window pops up, and this is what the window would have popped up. It pops up this would have all been blank. In Kansas and most states in the United States, and like Nebraska and Colorado, we are in a public land survey system. So our legal descriptions are all done by section, township, and range. These they're plotted in 640 acre squares, more or less, roughly their square form. And these are all predefined lists. So you've got to give the information from where the tract location is going to be and then the actual legal description. So right here, I'm going to go ahead and put where the township and range, where the legal location is located, where the tract is located. It is in section 13. And when I select that, of course, it pops up right there. It was already there because I had already done it. It's not in any subdivision or anything, but there are 160 acres. If it were a full section, not a quarter section, if it were the entire section, it would be 640 acres. But this is actually, I don't know why this is gross acres, 160. It's not. It's actually only 80. So let me save that. And yeah, this is only an 80-acre tract. It's not 160 because it's the east half of the northwest quarter, which is an 80-acre tract. So now I can save it here, and that's it. You've now got the tract saved. If I save and go to ownership, it will move to this tab over here. It skips the chain of title, which is just more information that will associate with this tract that change the title over time. But we don't need to get into that. That's easy. Where this gets a little more trickier is over in the ownership. So I think we saved it. Let's make sure we save that. And here we are. All right. Now, since we have already gone in and we've created Clarence Jones and we've created Kitty Jones, we've created our contacts, created the parties, the legal entities that are signing. We've gone in and we've built the tract and we've made it 80 acres. This is an 80-acre tract right here. Now we need to let the tract know who all the owners are. Now we've already put the owners over here. They're just on our contact list, but now we're going to pull them out of the contact list and we're going to tie them to the tract. And how we do it is with this ownership tab, this calculator right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new owner. I'm going to go ahead and create Clarence. Now Clarence actually owns only a quarter of the minerals, and he owns none of the surface, 0, okay? And we are going to make this effective today. Since we're doing the work today, we're going to save and add another. All right, now Clarence is up there. Let's go ahead and add another. Now, you've noticed there is a purple circle here, and that indicates that Clarence is only a mineral owner. And just like his wife, they do not own any of the surface. It's actually Clarence's sister-in-law who actually owns the surface. We'll go ahead and do that, and it automatically calculates. That's good. We'll go ahead and make this, we'll save and add another. All right. And Sherilyn is her name, Sherilyn Jones. She owns half of the minerals, 40 acres, and I put a 1 there for the full surface. It automatically calculates. Now once I go ahead and click on save, it gives her the teal circle there, and everything calculates real nice down here, exactly how it looks, how this tract looks, this 40-acre tract. Now it is built. It shows the true ownership. Now the reason we want to show the difference in mineral owners and surface owners is because some mineral owners need to sign some documents, and surface ownership has different rights and with different documents. So we need to be able to make sure that we are able to separate the difference in mineral owners and surface owners. All right, now that we've got this and how to build the tract, we've completed the tract. So now that this is done, now we're going to go and we can build the lease. We know the people that need to sign. We know the acreage that is going to be signed and who owns it based on their net acreage, so we know who to pay based on how much they actually technically own, the net mineral acres. We pay on net mineral acres, not on gross mineral acres. So let's go over to leases and let's create a lease. All right, real quick, we'll just go ahead and search and break this down to only search leases in Dundee West because these are all my leases. There we go. Whoop. I've just got one for Bradwell. So let's go ahead and create one, since I have not made one for Clarence Jones yet. So you can see real quick on how we create a quick lease offer. All right, the lessor, Clarence. There we go. You got to have a lessor because he's the one that is signed. He owns the minerals as well as his wife, Kitty. There she is. And lessee is Murfin. MDC, Murfin Drilling Company. All right. Now I am the leasing agent, and we will have the legal description. Once I add the legal description, it will automatically pop up over here. So we have already associated these individuals with the tract. When we had just associated with them with the tract there, here we go. Show only tracts that the selected lessor has mineral interest in. Now if I unselect this, it'll give me all the tracts that are within the Dundee West prospect. All of my tracts that I built within the prospect now, but I only want to show the ones that I tagged them in having ownership in. And this tract was the only one that we tagged them having ownership in, was this 80 acres. So we will add this tract to the lease. All right, and if we had more, then we could add more land to the lease. But right now, this is all we've got is the east half of the northwest quarter. All right, and they actually have 40 of the 80 acres because we did not add Sherilyn on here. We'll have Sherilyn sign a separate lease because she lives somewhere else, and we'll get her at a different time. So we're only going to mail out Clarence and Kitty their lease right now, and so it's only going to be able to account for 40 of the 8 net mineral acres. All right, now when I save this, I can save it, or I can save and go to terms. Either way, it's going to take me to the same location. It just saves the lease, and right here it takes me to the terms. Now this is where we were just at, so if I needed to make any changes, this was the tab that we were on. All right, there we are. But back to the terms. The terms of the lease. Now we need to know, what are the terms, what are we agreeing to, and what's the length of it. And really that is what the most important terms it comes down to is the length of the term, how much you're paying, and the royalty. It's those 3 things that are key. So we'll go ahead and make this lease for today. If I select that, it automatically makes the effective date of today. Now I can change that to a later date if I would want to, but we are not going to. We're going to make this a 3-year lease. It automatically gives me my expiration date. Let's go ahead and just put in the royalty. This is just for reporting. That's it. It's not. All right, and we're actually going to pay them $15 for a net mineral acre, and it calculates. So I'm going to pay them $600 for their 40 acres, 40 net acres. All right, and that's it. I can put in this other information, and this will then give me notifications on when I have to pay my bank draft. I mean, this is 15 days. We're going to pay them a draft, but I can come in and fill this in later. And this will just send me notifications, which is fairly simple. But let's just stick to building this lease, and we will go from there. We can save and go to provisions. We're not going to have any provisions. This just, all right, don't worry about provisions. We will come back to provisions at a later date. I think if you understand how to actually build the lease, which is entering the terms and then creating the documentation, we'll be fine. But there's no provisions in this lease, so let's just go ahead and move on over to forms. And now that we know the terms of the lease, let's go ahead and build the document. We're at the very end. All right. Oh, none of them are made for this one. Let's go ahead and select which ones. Now you're wondering, where did these come from? These were actually uploaded. The administrator uploaded these documents, and these are just simple mail merge Word documents, and it's going to be taking and extracting our data and the information that we put in for our tracts and our lease information and our party information, and then it puts it into the document that I already pre-built, and then I loaded it in. I uploaded it through the administrative tab, which I will show you at the very end. Real simple. It's just uploading a document. It's a mail merge document. And that's how all the documentation works within here and how we build our reports. It's all through mail merge. I'm sure there's an easier way out there. Maybe you can show us. Let's go ahead and mail these folks this, and let's go ahead and give them a W-9 and give them their bank draft. All right. Now, when I save this, it's going to save these three, or those four, excuse me. Those are now loaded in as my documents. I'm going to create the forms by selecting all of them now. Now I'm going to make the form. It's generating them, and there they are, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if I ever create any forms and I reselect make forms, it is going to override my old documents, and it's going to give me fresh new documents. So make sure if you click on this, then it's going to end up overriding all these documents, which is fine because I need good, clean, new documents. Let's go and take a quick peek at this lease form. Here it is. And it will also be shown on my Documentations tab. All right, and here we are. And now you can see the information we put in for today's date, for the date of the lease. Clarence and Kitty's names are on here with their address. Murfin's on here. The legal description, the county and state that we are working in, the acreage, the term of the years, their names on where they signed the document. That's it. It's a simple, it's actually a 2-page, but it's a 1-page document. That's where they notarize, but it's only a quick 2-page document, really a 1 single-page document. That's it. And we'll take a quick look at that bank draft so you can see what that looks like. It's created a bank draft, so we just looked at the lease form, but this is now the bank draft. So it creates all of your documents for you right here. It's my $600 bank draft to Clarence Jones and Kitty Jones. So now they're going to get paid, and I can print all these documents in one shot, which is really, really, really nice. So now that we've created the lease forms, let's go ahead and exit out. They are all saved right here in the Documents tab. And we will see them right here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. These are our documents. And that's it. From start to finish. Now from this point forward, we are going to then start tracking these offers. And from this point, I can now change it to working, or if they've signed it, or if it's on hold. You know, a few of the different options that is going to follow the lease from through the entire lease cycle from the initial offer all the way to signing. So there you have it. Just a quick breakdown. So if we understand how to create the contact and build the parties, okay, and then create the tracks. And the tracks I really look at as being your product. You're building a product. And then after you created the product, then we're going to go we're creating a lead, and that's the lease, is the lead. And that's the way I look at this, and maybe it'll help you guys visualize it, is it's more of a contact, product, lead. And if you can understand that concept, I think we might be able to build out these modules like a normal project management software would, but it would be more tailored towards our industry. We just got to have them understand and break it down based on the tracks, the net acreage to gross acreage, and the intricacies between the different landowners. So back to the admin page so I can show you real quick where I uploaded those documents. And you may be wondering, oh, where did those documents show up? Well, the administrator has an ability to upload all of the lease forms, and here are my lease forms. So when I want to upload one, I can just upload a new form, or if I want to edit the form, let's go ahead and just show how I edit this form if I needed to make a quick change in the language in the contract, and I don't want to have to redo everything. I can just go here. It's titled as a lease form. That's where we found it. It is for the client MDC, Murphy Drilling Company. We use it only in the state of Nebraska, so it will only show up in Nebraska. Or if I did it to any, it will show up for all of my clients. Maybe I want this lease for all of my clients. But and let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and leave this for any, because this is a universal lease form that I can. And then if I want to overwrite it because I made a change in the language in that lease form, I would do it here. And I would just click there, open that. It's overwriting the file when I click save. Now that document is still there, and I will be able to use it, or my landmen will be able to use it when they're creating their leases. Hey developers, thanks for taking time and listening to this video and understanding and going through a few of the modules and the basic functions and what we need in a land leasing software. These crucial roles, being able to have users and being able to add prospects, which is like a work group, and to be able to work within that prospect or that work group. Creating the parties. This is a lot like your contacts list. So if you can create the parties, then create the tracks, which is like your products, okay? And then you let the product know the people that own that product. Then we can go to create the lease offer. The lease offer is like your lead. So once we've created the lead, then we can follow that all the way through the lease cycle, from the initial offer all the way to lease signing. So it's your typical lead. We can look at it like a lead, but we've got your contacts, your parties here. You've got your products over here in your tract, and then if you can, when you bring them together, you can create the lease offer. And if you can understand these modules, we're going to find the right person for the right fit for this job. And I'm really looking forward to hearing from you. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate to contact me back, either through email, and we will see if we can help you out. But hey, thanks a lot, and we'll hear from you soon. Take care.